thank you to our sponsor, MBA Growth Partners.
Welcome to Studio 501c3. I'm your host, Kim Jones, CEO of the Nonprofit Village. We're a proud partner of Montgomery Community Media, your public access resource that provides a variety of information and programs relevant to Montgomery County. We're highlighting nonprofit organizations that provide essential programs and services, and the IRS has designated them as a public benefit or 501c3. Therefore, your donations to them is often tax deductible. Today, my guest is Eliza Newlin Carney, founder and president of the Civic Circle. The Civic Circle empowers young students to understand and participate in democracy through music and the arts, inspiring compassionate, informed, and engaged citizens. Eliza, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim.
Great. So let's get into how that's a bold mission, but how do you execute that mission? And why are you really focusing on democracy through arts?
Well, why we're doing it is because we feel that civic learning often starts too late. One thing we do that's new and different is we start civic learning in elementary school. A lot of existing programs are geared toward middle and upper schoolers, and we feel that the elementary school window is a key one that we don't want to miss. And that answers part of your second question, which is why do we use the arts? You know, the arts are a great way to make democracy exciting and fun for kids. Sometimes civic learning hasn't connected with kids. There's a perception that there's been too much emphasis on dry, rote dates and facts. And by using the humanities, by using poetry, song, and storytelling, we really bring it alive for young kids.
That's so innovative. And I think that it's something that could probably apply even to adults or older students. But it's impressive that you designed something that starts at an early age. We also always hear about learning early and often. So it's, starting at that early age, I think can make a really good impact. So tell me again, what age group are you starting? Is it lower elementary? Are you starting kind of closer to the middle school age group?
We have worked with youth as young as kindergarten, and some of our streaming shows and our live shows have reached very young kids. And honestly, they love our songs. But our target age group is grades 3 to 5. That seems to be our sweet spot. It's really a great age to start introducing kids to what we call the 7 steps to democracy. These are 7 civic skills, which you'll see behind me, which are listen, which is civility and peaceful conflict resolution, learn, which is news literacy, choose, which is voting, join, which is volunteering, speak, which is advocacy, act, which is organizing, and lead, which is running for office. And it's interesting you say this could be useful for adults as well, because we do believe that these 7 steps are relevant for adults as well as for kids.
That would be so cool to offer something with children and parents are learning in one cohort, children in another, and they come together in some way. So why don't you share some examples of some of the different arts activities, programs that really get these kids engaged, some of the topics and how they really are drilled down and executed.
Well, we do 4 things. We offer these performances that I described to you. These are kids shows at libraries or schools. We offer after-school workshops. We do community civic events, and we're creating lesson plans and music videos, which in fact are showing on Montgomery Community Media to make our program more accessible to people all over the place. But what the kids do in our after-school workshops is really 4 activities. They do social studies, games, and activities that are very interactive. As an example, if we're teaching about voting, the who, what, why, when, and how of voting, students might play a game like voting basics bingo, like how do we vote? How do we choose who to vote for? Why does voting matter? So it's not just, boring facts. It's they get up. This is an after school program. We don't want them to sit in their chairs. They get up and they use
move.
Sticky dots on poster boards, or they role play things. So that's one set of activities. We give them some social studies content in a fun format. The second thing we do is we bring in teen and college age guest speakers who are engaged in their own civic activities. So you might have a student journalist come in and talk about the school newspaper, or you might have a student ambassador from Montgomery College come in and talk about how they're registering people to vote and how did they select a candidate when they voted for the first time. And we love this aspect of our program because the younger kids really look up to the older kids. It's peer-to-peer mentoring. And our goal is for them to get inspired about the idea that in middle and upper school, they're going to themselves be the student ambassadors, the student council representatives, the student journalists.
So you're really building a pipeline.
Yes, we're really trying to do that. We're really trying to meet the needs of the high schools in the region. And there is research that connects civic learning with school success, fewer discipline incidents, graduation rates, and college and career readiness. So we feel there's a lot of grounding for our program in the outcomes that we're trying to achieve. But the third element, and this is really fun, is that during the program and also for a mini residency at the end, we bring in a teaching artist. And that could be someone who's a songwriter, it could be a poet, it could be a storyteller. We've had all three. And they share a little bit of their craft, but they also lead the students through the process of creating their own civic songs, poem, or story, which the students then perform at the end in a very low-key setting in the classroom, and parents and teachers are invited. Now, during COVID, we've done it a little differently. We've created some virtual performances that we share with parents.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Parents have not been allowed in the schools.
Right.
So things have been a little bit different. But
right, Eliza, we're gonna stop for a brief break, but I want you to continue when we come back because I think people will look forward to hearing more about the Civic Circle and these activities. Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media will be right back.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right. Because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign. Not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
Your blood pressure numbers could change your life. Lowering them could save you from having a stroke. If you've stopped your treatment plan, restart it or talk to your doctor about creating one that works better for you. Start taking the right steps at manageyourbp.org.
Now I'm, trying to get better, stronger than ever.
If I could be you, and you could be me for just 1 hour. Walk a mile in my shoes. Walk a mile in my shoes.
Worried about your friend, but don't know how to reach out?
You could say, how are you, or get a fake tattoo. You could ask with an app if it works for you. You could chat with them in VR, it's so good. If you think you should check in, yeah, you should.
Whatever gets you talking. Reach out to a friend about their mental health. Whatever gets you talking. Learn how you can help at seizetheawkward.org.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry, I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Welcome back to Studio 501c3, featuring exceptional nonprofit programs in Montgomery County. I'm talking with Eliza Carney, the founder and president of the Civic Circle. Before the break, Eliza, you were explaining a little bit more about the programs that had been electronic, now are moving back to in-person. So I'd like you to continue to tell us more about that.
Yeah, so we've been actually very fortunate. One of our main partners is Montgomery Housing Partnership, also Making Home Possible. And they run an after-school program that they call a community life program. So we actually work with their students both in some of their apartment buildings in Wheaton and also in elementary schools such as Arcola Elementary School. And we also have programming in other schools as well, such as Weller Road Elementary School, where we're piloting a civic club up there. But what I was going to say is that it's been great to be back in person. It's been really great to be back in person. For this age group in particular, interacting on Zoom has not been particularly gratifying. So it's really been fun to work with the kids again.
One of the things I wanted to ask you about is challenging topics. Sometimes democracy gets into what we're obviously learning about a little bit now, autocracy, war. I think on your website, you had posted something about war as civic failure. And these are difficult topics. So how does that go over with your audience? Is it something that allows them to understand differently and a complex topic like that?
Well, I came to this work after 30 years as a journalist, writing about democracy issues and writing about politics and campaign financing. And we ourselves have a daughter, and we never were those people who protected our daughter from the news. Mm-hmm. We always felt that information is power. And you can convey the news to young students in a way that's appropriate and that has context. And what you discover too with today's youth is that they are fully aware of everything that's going on around them. They're connected on social media. They're walking around with an encyclopedia on their phones, and so we address these things head on, honestly. And I consider pretty much everything happening in the news to be an extraordinary teachable moment. When there was an assault on the Capitol, we talked about that, and we talked about it as a failure of information. Sure. The people assaulting the Capitol really did believe that the election was stolen. And that goes to the second step to democracy: learn, inform yourself, make sure you have the correct factual information. And we're a nonpartisan group. We don't get into any party or politics, but current events are definitely, we've had many teachable moments in the last few years. Democracy is under assault, and it gives us an opportunity to talk to young people about what might it mean if we didn't have democracy.
Right. Well, I want to ask, because we've only got about 2 minutes left. You talked about having visiting artists come in. You talked about college students, sometimes high school students coming in. How else can the public engage as volunteers or trainers?
Well, we're always looking to build our team. And, we occasionally have openings on our board. We have a wonderful advisory council. We put on events, which we create ad hoc committees for, that people can come in and help be a planning committee member for one of our events. We're especially interested in connecting with young people, to be perfectly honest, because we're constantly trying to find these guest speakers to come in. And we have now 6 different groups of students. So that's a lot of classrooms to populate for a program that runs the full academic year. But the other thing is we're always looking to connect with schools. If you know of a school that might be interested in our assembly show, or if you know of a school that might be interested in a civic club, I would love to hear about it. We're also looking to connect with teaching artists and performing artists. It's surprisingly hard sometimes to find just the right fit. Someone who loves to work with kids and who's really interested in our democracy songs as opposed to going off to Broadway. Right. So we're looking for all kinds of different types of community connections. And those are all ways that people can connect with us, and keep in mind that we definitely are a community-based organization and we need input and support.
Okay, great. And that support can also mean donations. So people will be able to go to your website, which we'll have up. Eliza, we have to stop there. Thanks for telling us about all of the creative programs offered by the Civic Circle. And thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
You can learn more about the Civic Circle at theciviccircle.org. I'm Kim Jones. Thanks for joining us, and come back next time for Studio 501c3 on Montgomery Community Media.